Hey there, welcome back to the channel. I'm Jim, and I got my son Levi with me here today.
Howdy.
And we're going to have a little chat today about some exterior inspections. As we got a pretty nice February day here.
Yeah,
What
beautiful
is it,
day.
+5 or something?
0 degrees, I think.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Pretty warm. Lots of water
Yeah, a
coming.
lot of water.
Water melting and whatnot. So at this time of year, we get lots of phone calls as things warm up and people get outside and start looking at their house that they've ignored because they're hibernating all winter. And you get outside and start shoveling a little snow, chipping some ice, and they start looking at the home, and there's some common issues that show up, and we get quite a few calls. So we thought we'd have a little video here today, describe some of the more common issues that we see and you may see on your house in the springtime, and offer some potential solutions.
Yeah, so we're just basically going to go over some easy exterior inspections a homeowner could do to identify some seasonal issues.
Yeah.
Let's start with the roof. What could I look for in a roof?
Yeah, so in the springtime, some of the more common roofing issues that you see. Well, one of the more common ones is something that goes on inside the roofs, and that is when you've got a moisture leaking into the attic space, or you've got your attic isn't vented very well. You often end up with a whole bunch of ice that's built up underneath the sheeting in the roof. And so that warm, moist air from the house can come through a improperly sealed attic hatch, for example, or venting in bathrooms and whatnot. So that warm, moist air has been building up throughout the whole season. And when it rises up into the cold attic, it condenses and freezes.
Yeah.
And so you'll see like the whole underside of a roof from the inside, and it's a solid ice that starts melting at this time of year. And we often get phone calls. We got some water dripping from somewhere near the bathroom. Oh, and we've seen some really terrible.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we've had calls and the customer says, yeah, it's raining in my house. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. So that's a common one. And that one, once you get to that point, there's not a whole lot you can do. You want to get some fans probably up in there and start drying it out. But often what the solution is to get some more roof vents.
Yeah, and make sure your soffits are vented well and not blocked with insulation.
That's right.
That's pretty common.
Yeah, that's exactly what you do. Because your roof system, your attic space is supposed to be operating like a chimney, where the air comes through the soffit, the vented soffit, and vents out the top. And so that if it's working really well, that air will circulate. But you also need to take care of the issues in terms of how is that warm, moist air getting in there. It shouldn't get there in the first place. So that'd be something else you could do. As a homeowner, you could buy some weather stripping and make sure that attic hatch is sealed well. For example, would be one kind of easy fix. A lot of times that's right where you see it, is right at the attic hatch.
Yeah, absolutely. And every house is different, and there could be several different issues causing that.
Right.
And what about eaves troughs? What's a common eaves trough issue in the springtime?
So ice damming, and we're still kind of on the roof and eaves troughing kind of area. So with the eaves trough, we see a lot of issues. Potentially could be ice damming, and again, that can be due to insufficient insulation in the attic, and so that warm air is getting right into the attic and melting the snow that it's colder right on the eaves where that venting is happening, that chimney effect that I had previously mentioned. That's where the coldest part of your roof is. So when there's warm air coming into the attic, it melts the snow on the roof, and then that water will drain down the roof till it hits where that venting is occurring, and then it'll cause a little ice dam. So it's just ice dam is just a little bump of ice that runs right down the eave of the house, and then it'll more and more will melt, and it builds up. So then you end up with a dam. So basically a long block of ice that is holding water. So as more water is draining off the house as it's warming up, that water can back right up underneath the shingles, and that can get right inside your house.
Yeah, absolutely. Water does some funky things. It can travel and find different paths into and you wonder how does it get in there.
That's true. You never really know for sure where water will go. And that one, again, it's one of these issues people will phone up and they're in a big panic, but the horse has already left the barn by that point. Like, there's not a lot you can do. You need to probably make sure that is vented properly, and you can, it can be dangerous. You don't want to be crawling up on your roof without this proper safety to break all this ice off. You could maybe get those salt pucks and throw them up there.
Yeah.
That it can melt channels through, so that the water will eventually come down, come through, and the ice dam will go away. But
yeah. Oftentimes, drip edge on roofs is installed incorrectly. We run into that all the time.
Yeah. So how will a homeowner know that that's an issue? Like, what
Well,
see?
if you see water dripping in between your trough and your fascia, then that's likely the cause. And also, it can get in behind the fascia, and that's like the most common cause of rotten fascia boards and rafter tails. I see that all the time.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And so other things with eaves troughs, I guess, so we get calls even on trough jobs we've done, and we'll get a call, oh, your eaves trough has failed. It's all leaking and pouring over the top. And often that's because they haven't cleaned out the eaves trough from the year before. So there's a couple of things you can do. You should inspect that twice a year and make sure that your eaves troughs are clean.
Well, yeah, especially if you live in a heavily treed area.
For sure.
Big time.
You got to get up there and get that cleaned out.
Yeah, and you can get the leaf guards, but you're still going to have to clean them. It's easier to clean them, but they need to be maintenance occasionally. The leaves will sit on them.
Yeah. Maybe in the big heavy rains it might clear out, but it's going to sit there at some point. You should always inspect your roof, no matter what. It should be inspected at least once a year. Make sure your shingles aren't blown off and the eaves trough is working properly.
Yeah, absolutely. What could you tell me about soffit and fascia issues that could arise in the spring?
Yes. So again, another common defect over the winter time, your roof is taken probably a beating from the winter storms and heavy wind and whatnot. So we often see soffit that's missing and fascia that's missing. And a lot of times people don't really see that because they're inside hibernating. When you get outside, you should inspect all your soffit. So the soffit is the area underneath the eaves. It's the flat part, people will often say, is they don't know the terminology, but it's got vents in it, and it's an aluminum product. It overhangs your roof walls by about 2 feet.
Step out your door, look straight up.
Look straight up, and that's what it is. That's what it is. And so you want to make sure that stuff is intact. And that's about it. If it's intact, you're good. And same thing with the fascia, which is the edges of the roof that the eaves trough sits on, or that you'll see on the gables, on the pointy ends of the roof. So make sure that stuff has made it through the winter. And if it is missing with the soffitting in particular, that's where you'll get animals come in to live in there. We often get calls. There's a squirrel in my roof. Or
all kinds of critters.
Birds, bats.
I've seen squirrels chew right through a whole 2x4 rafter tail, and living in soffits. Yeah, shifty little bat.
Shifty little guys. Yeah, for sure. So you want to make sure that your soffit is intact. For sure. So that's one of the main things with that. It's just there.
Of course. What's some obvious signs that your siding could be replaced?
Siding? Well, you might not need to replace siding. And it usually hangs in there for a good long time. Even straight vinyl siding is going to last 20 years at least. But you want to, same thing this time of year, inspect all of your siding, make sure none of it's blown off, comfrey, or anything like that.
Yeah, especially where you have windows and things like that is where you're going to have to pay a lot of attention to where the water is going.
That's right. Yeah, usually on the flat, on the wall, siding, there's going to be no problem with the sheeting in behind the siding, but it's anytime there's a break, such as around windows and doors. And if the window's not been put in properly, or the door's not been put in properly with proper flashing and blue skin sealant weatherproofing, then what happens? What have you seen?
I've seen lots of windows and doors rotted out the whole perimeter, and you have to sometimes we'll have to build a temporary pony wall inside the house to take out the header because it's rotted out, and reframe it all in. And could have just been simply avoided if the window had been installed correctly in the first place. anytime you have a change in material on your exterior products, you should have a flash in there.
Yeah.
And that can easily be missed.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. What else on siding? You might want to look at, if anything's cracked or damaged.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that can be changed out.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
You don't have to
For stucco-wise, how can you tell that your sheeting under your stucco could be compromised by water?
Yeah, so what you'll see with stucco frequently will be some cracks, or you'll see cracks like near the windows, and that's kind of a dead giveaway that water's made its way in there, and then it gets in behind that stucco, and then freezes and expands, and it'll start cracking the stucco.
Even if you have long, kind of long stains, of dark water stains, I've seen that lots.
It's kind of a giveaway.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And then you'll also see stucco bulging right off the side of the house.
Yeah. Yeah.
Same deal there.
Well, yeah, actually my own house, if you slam the back door, you can watch the stucco kind of move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't last forever.
No, it needs to be replaced.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's some of the issues on the siding. Windows and doors, what do you want to look for?
Windows and doors. Yeah, like you said, the cracks under the doors, and even if your door or window just isn't functioning properly, that could be a sign.
Yeah.
Just opening and closing. You really have to work it closed or shut.
Yeah.
And if you feel a draft, that's the main one.
Yeah.
You always feel a draft near a window, it's probably either installed wrong or could be rotted out under.
Yeah.
I've seen, I took some siding off under someone's window before. Take the siding off, I was staring directly at their canned goods.
Yeah.
Yeah, right behind the vinyl.
Whole wall was gone. That was at Bruderheim.
Yeah, Bruderheim.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could just reach in his whole pantry just from... The only thing separating his food from the outside was a piece of vinyl siding.
There you go.
And that's not even the worst I've seen.
And he had no clue.
Yeah, no, yeah. Well, he was like, I was wondering why I was drafting here.
Oh, yeah, because you have no wall.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing on windows would be make sure that the seal in between the panes of glass is sealed still. Is that, I think windows are only supposed to be good for about 20 years, and most people almost never change them.
Oh, yeah. I've seen windows from, I think the oldest window I probably worked on was 1910s window on a heritage house, just on the corner by Shell there in Fort.
That heritage house.
Yeah, those built-in windows. That one was all right though because it's built in with stones and whatnot.
Yeah,
you're not gonna have that on your normal house.
No,
I've seen windows from the 40s, and those ones is just a single pane of glass and just bang, bang, bang wood around.
Yeah,
and that's something that definitely could be replaced. And save you some money on your energy bill.
Yeah, you'll see it. You'll see it on the dual glaze or triple glazed windows where there's you'll see some condensation in between the panes. That's a dead giveaway that the seals are gone. Little droplets of water and that kind of thing.
Well, what kind of things could cause just excessive frosting on the inside of the window?
Yeah, usually that's a moisture issue inside the house. It could be bad windows, but more commonly, it's probably a humidity setting.
Too humid in the house?
Yeah. Okay. The same thing as if your soffit is not breathing and your attic isn't breathing properly. If that's all sealed up, then any moisture in the house can tend to stay in the house. So then you can end up with that humidity. So you need to turn your humidifier down to between 30 and 50% is what the recommended is. So if you're at 50 and you're getting a lot of buildup of ice on your windows, turn it down. Turning it down to somewhere around the 30 if you can, and see if that helps. Another thing you can do, take screens off on the inside. Like at the wintertime, I always take off all my screens and just store them behind some furniture out in the garage or whatnot, so that the air from the fan in the furnace will, keep washing over that glass and keeping it dry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's something I kind of forgot to touch on when we were talking about roofs and flashing. You could have a piece of missing flashing on one end of your house and then pooling water on the other end of your house, and that's because of that water. It has its own mind, and it can travel.
Yeah.
We just seen that recently.
Yeah, that's a warranty issue coming up.
Yeah, exactly. And well, it wasn't a warranty on our
Not our
part,
work,
but
it's someone else's. Yeah. We're
yeah,
gonna have to fix for them.
yeah. But I mean, another thing you could look for is just you got some unwanted pooling of ice or ice buildup on your deck or wherever. It could be just a missed piece of flashing on the opposite side of your house.
Yeah, that's exactly what the case was.
Yeah.
There was no flashing, kick-out flashing, which is a little L-shaped piece of metal that will guide water from a upper roof line into an eaves trough, so it doesn't go in behind the eaves trough. And that was totally missing, right?
Yeah.
So the water went down straight into a J-channel, bit of siding trim, and went all the way down to the other end of the house, leaked through the soffit, down the siding, and into a window that wasn't sealed. And he's wondering why he's got a draft and all this water inside its window. It's from a leak or missing flashing on the opposite side of the house completely.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of fun to solve that when we
no
did
kidding.
some sleuthing to figure that one out. But,
Yeah, a little investigator work.
yeah. So those are some of the most common issues. Anything else you can think of with your springtime checklist?
Well, the obvious leaking corners on an eaves trough. That's probably the top common thing for eaves trough issues in the summer or spring.
Yeah.
Leaking corners. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, but usually we get the homeowner special. We get people saying that they have tried to get in there and use the what's the sealant they use?
Flex seal.
Flex seal, as seen on TV.
Yeah.
Does it work?
It could work if you did it, if you knew how to do it.
Right.
But
how do you do it properly? If you really wanted to tackle that on your own, what would you do?
You gotta spend some time. You gotta get some sort of solvent that's not gonna interfere with the chemical, and you gotta spend time there and get a wire brush and clean it all. It's gotta be bare metal, super clean. Yeah.
Everything, right?
But by the time I get there, it's got 4 inches of every kind of caulking and Flex Seal in it.
Yeah.
Still leaks.
Yeah. So you got to get it down to bare metal, really.
Yeah.
And then it would probably work like a charm.
And sometimes, and also that old school nail and ferrule trough. I've seen that rot out countless fascia boards.
Yeah.
Because it essentially has it's a syringe for water to inject water into your fascia board because it has that big nail and then a aluminum collar around the nail, and water gets in there and it just goes straight in.
Fascia board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen that lots.
And there's still eavesdroppers out there
Really?
installing with nail and ferrule.
No way.
It's cheap. They get real fast at it. They do it all from the roof. We walk down the roof line, pound it all in with a hammer.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Not us though. No.
It's a little.
No, we use the hanger hanger system.
Yeah,
Which
much
works
better.
a lot better.
Yeah. So those really are some of the basic things to check for. And in terms of pricing on like basic jobs.
Yeah. I mean, I have lots of experience installing all these things, but I'm really not too well versed on the pricing. So what can you tell me on that?
Yeah. So the pricing, a lot of those things would fall under our basic minimum pricing, which is it's $500 is the smallest job that we'll do for any kind of repairs at all. And so it's basically for those small repair jobs, if that's just to repair one corner or one or two corners, and so typically that's all people want to repair, say for an eaves trough corner where it's just leaking on a step and then you're going to end up with ice where you're going to fall. So it's only going to take us a couple hours to go out and do that. So what we'll do is we charge, it's at that $500 minimum, and it's $100 an hour plus 30% markup on any materials with a $500 minimum, and that's what we do for that. Basically, we had stopped doing those small jobs completely a couple of years ago, but then realized there's a lack of skilled people in Fort Saskatchewan to handle that work, and we want to be able to service the community.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And that can turn into other work as well in the future. So we came up with a compromise with a $500 minimum on those type of repairs.
Aren't we running then some kind of promotion for an upgrade on downspouts?
Yeah.
What's that about?
Yeah, that's a good one. We do have a spring promo coming in where we're going to upgrade your eaves trough downspout pipes from the standard 2 5/8 inch pipes to the oversized 3-inch pipes.
Yeah.
For the eaves trough jobs that are up this spring.
Yeah.
So how is that good? Like, what's important about that, or why do you think you would want that?
Well, the The advantage with the 3-inch pipes, and I know a 3/8 difference does not sound much, but when you look at both of them, the 3-inch is a lot bigger, and that'll basically just allow for debris to go straight down and out rather than just clog up.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
That's about it.
Drains that much more water from your roof, right?
It really does.
Yeah.
How many downspouts do you need per square feet? That's something I often forget the specifics of.
So with the 2 5/8, it's one downspout for every 600 square feet of roof.
Okay.
With a 3-inch, it's for every 700 square feet of roof.
So you could also mitigate how many.
But it does make some difference.
You might be able to mitigate some pipes with that.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can often do that. Yeah, reduce the number of pipes just by doubling them up or going with the large ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's really about it in terms of the inspection. I'm sure there's lots more you can look for, but those are some of the
basics.
Common things that we get asked about every springtime. And then that leads me into our final topic here, which is...
we're hiring for skilled laborers and, tradesmen.
Yeah.
And essentially what we're looking for is someone well-versed in everything we just talked about, and someone competent to be, has maybe some customer service experience and...
Very important.
Yeah, and a set of wheels,
Got to be able to drive.
And just a well-rounded person,
Yeah.
Being in shape always helps.
Yeah, for sure. We do all that ourselves, our family and a lot of our team. We, we work out, ride bikes, go to the gym.
Yeah, we're not afraid to train people up either, but as long as you got some good head on your shoulders, you're willing to learn,
Clean living type people.
Yeah.
Can do, hardworking folks. So.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Yeah, it's an athletic job too, so.
Yeah, you got to be in good shape to do it.
For sure, yeah.
Not for the...
Good body and mind.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So in particular, we're looking for a couple laborers, so they don't have to have a lot of experience. We'll bring people in green as long as you have a good attitude and you're...
Yeah, if you want to learn, we'll teach you.
Yeah, you got to be tough.
Yeah.
You have to be able to hack it.
That's a requirement.
Yeah, that's 100%.
You can't, we don't really teach that as much.
No, you got to kind of...
But if you have it, then that's something that you can build on heavily.
Yeah, for sure. As long as, you have a can-do attitude and you listen well. Communication, like number one and most important.
Yeah.
For these young people that hire on, they're gonna make mistakes.
Exactly.
That's okay.
If you make us money, we'll make you money.
It'll work out.
That's how it works.
We can handle it for sure.
Absolutely.
So that's that. And then of course for the exterior, like a skilled person, like all of those things we mentioned, whether it's roofing, eaves trough work, soffit fascia installations, siding,
framing, all of that stuff.
Window and door
anything
installs.
Really building development and renovation wise.
Yeah, that's
it.
the people we're looking for. And specifically, if you have more than one of those skills, like we don't necessarily want just a roofer.
Of course,
because we're still pretty small, so everybody kind of has to be able to do a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
But those are the folks that we're looking to hire. And I think we just had a group interview here recently for some interior. We found a couple really good candidates, actually. It was a really good batch came through. We had about 16 people on our group interview. So it was hard to make some decisions there, but we did end up with one really good guy that started already.
Yeah. And, absolutely.
I think we'll be putting together another group interview for some exterior and some general laborers. It's an awesome job for young people in the fort if they want to learn how to
absolutely do. Tons of opportunity in it for sure.
Yeah.
Many channels.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I think that's
about I think that wraps it up.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for coming out today, Levi.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Thanks so much for joining our channel again. Like, subscribe, share.
Absolutely. Take care.
All right. Have a good one.